Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello again, friends. How are you today? I hope that you're healthy and safe. We are in a transitional week. We're only a couple of days away from New Year's, and I'll be doing a full Gongyo and posting that. Right now, we're discussing the Diamond Sutra, the Red Pine translation. I just finished a video reminding everyone, all of us, to make use of this channel. Use the search in the channel, not the YouTube search, the channel search. It's in the first third of the landing page on this channel. There's a little magnifying glass there. You can put in a term like Gosho. There's over 300 Gosho videos. If Lotus lectures are your thing, you want to really dive into the Lotus Sutra. There's almost 50 videos on just the Lotus lectures, let alone other videos about the Lotus. Use this channel to bolster your practice. Okay? Also, threefoldlotus.com. A website that's strictly HTML. Not a lot of hoopla on it, but it's a great resource with tons of answers to typical questions. If you go to Core Study Materials, it's on the first page you land on. There's a green button that says Core Study Materials. Click. It takes you to a page that has 60-odd links of typical questions like, what is the Sangha? Why Daimoku? Myoho Renge Kyo? What does it mean? The personages on the Gohanzen. What the hell is all that writing about? These questions that, beginners, but even those who've practiced for years, maybe you need to question your assumptions. Maybe you don't know what you think you know. So it's a resource to check yourself, to help you gain insights to your practice and your Buddhahood, right? So don't forget. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the Diamond Sutra, part of the Perfection of Wisdom teachings. We are on stanza 16. And this is a conversation, as you know, between Shakyamuni and Subhuti. Nevertheless, Subhuti, the noble son or daughter who grasps, memorizes, recites, and masters such a sutra as this, and contemplates it thoroughly and explains it in detail to others, will suffer their contempt, their utter contempt. That's an amazing warning. And how could this be, Subhuti? How could you, who study the sutras, who gets it, who gets your insights and go, man, I need to share this with my friend so-and-so. And you get this ballistic reaction from them. You're this, you're blah, blah, blah. They just resist you. And it shocks you. Wow, I thought this would excite you. This is amazing. Listen. No, you're just a this or that, and I don't want to hear this, and I believe in God, or I believe in this, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. How could that be, right? Because you're getting so much insight studying this, and you're reciting it, and you're memorizing it, like the Lotus Sutra, right? And you do Gongyo, you recite Lotus Sutra, you chant, and you're excited. Buddhahood is amazing, and you want to share it, especially with people you care about. And they just blow up. A lot of times the reaction is, well, maybe I should doubt what I'm doing. Maybe they're right. Don't do that. Don't do that. Listen to Shakyamuni's explanation. And how could this be, Subhuti? The bad karma created by these beings in their past lives should result in an unfortunate rebirth. But now, by suffering such contempt, they put an end to the bad karma of their past lives and attain the enlightenment of Buddhas. Interesting. So this is the power of planting a seed. In other words, Shakyamuni is saying when you get a ballistic reaction, it's because somebody's bursting a pimple here. Somebody's bursting, they're out of control because their karma, they're wrote every day from past, from their past. Maybe they were raised Muslim. Maybe they were raised Catholic. Maybe they were raised into deeply programmed kinds of magical thinking. And the problem with magical thinking is it's not based in reality. It's all mystical. It's all tripwires and surveillance, and it's very oppressive, and it's something that, you know, if you step on a nail and it pierces your foot, you know what pierced your foot and you know what it feels like. And from then on, you're far more aware and watchful of boards on the ground that may have nails poking through them, right? Because that's real. But if you walk through life having been taught from a little baby that nails can attack you from anywhere, always, you know, nails can get you, especially if you're doing something you're not supposed to. Those nails will poke you. They'll hurt you. And you grow up thinking, man, nails are everywhere. And so when you do something that you're not sure is the right thing to do, and you don't get poked by a nail, you think, I got away with it. We build a whole reality around this threat. That's what religion is. So you come along and you say, hey, that's all bullcrap, good dude. I'm your friend. Let me tell you, you can be enlightened right now. It's so amazing. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. And they, whoa, the nails, they're going to come. They're gonna... They freak out. It's not because of anything you did. Well, it is, actually. But their freak out is their reaction. Because all of that magic just got exposed. The emperor's naked. Remember that story? The emperor's new clothes? You're the one in the crowd going, the emperor's naked. And the people in the crowd going, oh my goodness, no, don't say that. No, we know you're right, but we can't say it because he has some amazing clothes. Oh my God, I can see his genitals. Oh my God. They're freaking out because you turned the light on in their attic, their dusty cobweb magical attic. So don't take it personally as a negative. Take it personally as a, you just punctured a pus ball. Let them deal with just be there for them. It's okay. Think about it. We'll talk later. We don't have to talk about it now. It's okay. You're this, you're that. It's okay. I hear you. It's hard at first. You know, let me know when you want to talk about it, okay? I'll never talk to you again, blah, blah, blah. It's just reaction. It's just fear. Let's see how this goes on. Subhuti, I recall in the past, during the countless infinite kalpas before Dipankara Tathagata, the Arhan, the fully enlightened one, I served 8,400,000 million trillion other Buddhas and served them without fail. Nevertheless, Subhuti, although I served those Buddhas and Bhagavans and served them without fail in the future, in the final epoch, in the final period, in the final 500 years of the Dharma ending age, the age you and I are in, by the way, the body of merit of the person who grasps, memorizes, recites, and masters such a sutra as this and explains it in detail to others will exceed my former body of merit, not by 100-fold, or 1,000-fold, or 100,000-fold, or 1,000,000-fold, or 100,000,000-fold, or 1,000,000,000-fold, or 100,000,000,000-fold, but an amount that cannot be measured, calculated, illustrated, characterized, or even imagined. Subhuti, if I were to describe this noble son or daughter's body of merit, the full extent of the body of merit this noble son or daughter would thereby produce and obtain, it would bewilder or disturb people's minds. Furthermore, Subhuti, inconceivable and incomparable is this Dharma teaching spoken by the Tathagata, and inconceivable is the result you should expect. So, a quite clear statement on the profundity of invoking our Buddha nature, let alone attempting to describe it or to share it with others. Fireworks and explosions are bound to happen because they immediately are having to let go of a tremendous freight train of bullcrap. You bring them down into reality so that they can experience fully the amazing nature of their lives while they've been spending their whole life under a cloud, remember Pigpen, under a cloud of misunderstanding and surveillance and worry and threat and fear. Ugh. And don't forget, when you liberate someone's mind, their first thought is, what the hell have I been doing all this time? That's not always an easy thing to consider, right? Sorry. Just the Matrix played in my head again. To liberate a mind. 17. Again, the Venerable Subhuti asked the Buddha, Bhagavan, if someone sets forth on the bodhisattva path, right, a path specifically to master and then teach and share with others, how should they stand? How should I comport myself as a bodhisattva? Being as I'm walking through landmines, right? Because I never know. I may share this with somebody and they may just kaboom right in front of me. I don't mean explode, but you know what I mean. Emotions run high when you, even if you don't mean to confront somebody's mystical, magical world, the truth is a confrontation by its nature. Nails don't come out of nowhere. You stepped on it. What? Right? It's like that. How should they walk? How should they control their thoughts? Whew, that's no small matter. The Buddha said, Subhuti, someone who sets forth on the bodhisattva path should give birth to the thought, in the realm of complete nirvana, I shall liberate all beings. And while I thus liberate beings, not a single being is liberated. And why not, Subhuti? A bodhisattva who creates the perception of a being cannot be called a bodhisattva. That's interesting. He's breaking down this idea that we somehow put on this vest of bodhisattva, and we therefore charge into the world with our bodhisattva armor and, documents in hand. Read this, you will be enlightened. It's the wrong way to conceive of bodhisattva practice. So that's interesting, because being earthly beings, that would be our first thought. How do I comport myself as a bodhisattva, a self, like a dictionary walking through the world of Buddhism? Neither can someone who creates the perception of life or even the perception of a soul be called a bodhisattva. And why not? He keeps hammering on this soul thing, because there's an equation in Buddhism that the idea of a contained selfhood, an identity, is a permanentizing, a thingifying of a state of being, of mind. A state of perception is not an ego. It's not an identity. It's not a self-enduring. It is a condition of mind, a perceptive condition, if you will. And that perception is what we hone by study and practice. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. It's something we become more and more familiar with, more and more relatable to our lives. But this is not the bodhisattva. The bodhisattva is in the way that we see the world, communicate with the world. The thought, the mind that is being utilized is the bodhisattva, not this. Make sense? And why not, Subhuti? There's no such dharma as setting forth on the bodhisattva path. This he's really, in this Diamond Sutra, trying to hammer home that there is no embodiment of, there is no thing called Buddha or Bodhisattva or Arhat or. There's only a way of perceiving, and we navigate samsara through this human body. That's always what this is in samsara. It's an apparatus. Right? A chemist in a laboratory makes potions, chemical bonds, but he never confuses the flask and the butane torch fire burner and the apparatus of the lab with what's in the beaker. But yet we do that all the time as human beings. Right? If the lab and the chemist makes a butyl methane nitrate, he never thinks to himself, or she never thinks to herself, this methyl butyl nitrate is these desks, these flasks, these glass pipes and burners and pipettes and stirring sticks and blah, blah, blah. No. They understand that the creation of the chemical in the beaker is the methyl butyl, I just made that up, nitrate, right? They know there's a separation. It's easier to know, you would argue, because it's physical. But the same is true of what Shakyamuni is trying to get Subhuti to understand. Is you are not your practice. Your practice is a perceptive shift. And you're just the apparatus to experience it and to share it. The bodhisattva is in the act. What do you think, Subhuti? When the Tathagata was with Dipankara Tathagata, did he realize any such dharma as unexcelled perfect enlightenment? It's tricky now, the translations and the words here. The distinction is, do you experience something, or do you take a magic wafer and put it in your mouth, and that's the act of being enlightened? Right? When you chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo to your mandala, awaken your Gohonzon and experience Buddha-ness, is that experience you're sitting down, sitting straight up, and enunciating these magic words? You're missing it if that's what you think. Because Buddhahood is the experience that your mind is having. The rest of it is just apparatus. In fact, it's an apparatus that we have gone, Nichiren went a long ways to fool. Because he's using the very tenets of the apparatus, this samsaric thingness, thingifyingness that we have to hold, possess, and have. And he said, okay, tricky little samsaric mind, let's give you an object that you can't just read, that isn't a pretty picture, but it's a characterization of all of Shakyamuni's teachings, even though you may not understand them all. And we'll have you focus your samsaric eyes, ears, feel, touch, sensations by chanting. And while you're chanting the Daimoku and reciting the Gongyo, watching intently this mandala, something's going to change in you. And I'm going to use your samsaric apparatus to trigger the insight of all these teachings. That's the Gohonzon. Something that's taking place in you. It's not hidden behind your earlobe or in your throat or in the pituitary gland. It's a perceptive door that opens onto clarity, Buddhahood, not this. An energetic state of mind. And this apparatus is like a candle. Once lit, provides light. But it's not the candle that's providing the light. The light is the light. The source is the fire, but the fire is not the light. So when we sit in front of our mandala and we chant, we're the candle lighting itself, and then there is light. There is light. But that's not the candle giving you light or the fire giving you light. The light is the result of having lit a candle. The light is the light. Right? Photons are radiation. They're energy. They're released into our consciousnesses. Remember the 8 consciousnesses? The 9th consciousness? That's what we're doing. We're lighting the 8 consciousnesses on fire, and we're seeing, experiencing, through all of those consciousnesses, the 9th consciousness. Buddha consciousness. Shakyamuni is struggling to get Subhuti to get this, to understand this. We have a teaching in our epoch that we understand. It works. It's easy as breathing. It was more difficult back then. One, he did not realize any such dharma as unexcelled enlightenment. And to this the Buddha replied, so it is, Subhuti, so it is. When the Tathagata was with Dipankara Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, he did not realize any such dharma as unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Subhuti, if the Tathagata had realized any dharma, Dipankara Tathagata would not have prophesied, young man, in the future you shall become the Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, named Shakyamuni. Subhuti, it was because the Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, did not realize any such dharma as unexcelled perfect enlightenment, that Dipankara Tathagata prophesied, young man, in the future you shall become the Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, named Shakyamuni. And how so? Tathagata, Subhuti, is another name for what is truly real. Tathagata, Subhuti, is another name for the Dharma with no beginning. Tathagata, Subhuti, is another name for the end of dharmas. Tathagata, Subhuti, is another name for what never begins. And how so? No beginning, Subhuti, is the highest truth. Subhuti, if anyone should claim that Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, realized unexcelled perfect enlightenment, such a claim would be untrue. Subhuti, they would be making a false statement about me. And how so? Subhuti, the Tathagata did not realize any such dharma as unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Furthermore, Subhuti, in the dharma realized or taught by the Tathagata, there is nothing true and nothing false. Thus, the Tathagata says, all dharmas are Buddha dharmas. And how so? All dharmas, Subhuti, are said by the Tathagata to be no dharmas. Thus are all dharmas called Buddha dharmas. Subhuti, imagine a perfect person with an immense perfect body. The Venerable Subhuti said, Bhagavan, this perfect person whom the Tathagata says has an immense perfect body, Bhagavan, the Tathagata says, has no body. Thus it is called an immense perfect body. The Buddha said, so it is, Subhuti, and if a bodhisattva says, I shall liberate other beings, that person is not called the bodhisattva. And why not, Subhuti? Is there any such dharma as a bodhisattva? The Venerable Subhuti replied, no, indeed, Bhagavan, there is no such dharma as a bodhisattva. The Buddha said, and beings, Subhuti, beings, are said by the Tathagata to be no beings. Thus are they called beings. And thus does the Tathagata say, all dharmas have no self. All dharmas have no life, no individuality, and no soul. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva should claim, I shall bring about the transformation of a world, such a claim would be untrue. And how so? The transformation of a world, Subhuti, the transformation of a world is said by the Tathagata to be no transformation at all. Thus is it called the transformation of the world. Subhuti, when the bodhisattva resolves on selfless dharmas as selfless dharmas, the Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened one, pronounces that person a fearless bodhisattva. All right. Confusion abounds. We have so many sources of misinformation in the world today, and that's no less true of Buddhism. Again, a distinction with religion. It would be easy for somebody uninitiated and unstudied to say that a bodhisattva is simply an evangelical Buddhist. And believe you me, there are plenty out there. This is not bodhisattva work. I keep coming back to this word because it's the only one I can find with the charisma. That's the closest I can come to experience the mind perception. To perceive something is not to make it. To perceive something is to witness it. And that witnessing is the experience. So do you understand that when you sit in front of your mandala and you chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo, Hoben Bondai Nini, Ji says Anju Zama, all of that. We talk a lot, Buddhists do, about cause and effect. You notice I don't talk that much about that. Because they're slippery words, right? We use them in science. We use them in our physical dissection of this experience of life. And I see danger in that. Because it's not the understanding that Shakyamuni or Subhuti would be comfortable with. And that's very much exemplified in this dialogue at the beginning of this Diamond Sutra. And I take it as an expectation that this is a translation many times removed from the actual words of Shakyamuni Buddha, although the translations come after a great deal of scholarship to capture that memorized, repeated, exact word for word. But come on, it's English. And it's English translated from Korean, Chinese, possibly Sanskrit, possibly Pali. And those translations were done by Indians who spoke. The recitations, the memorizations, they were done in Prakrit, a very egalitarian, basic language of the day derived from Sanskrit. But it's not Sanskrit, not Pali either. I know some of you Theravadins or early or Hinayana practitioners will say, wait a minute, Pali is the words of Buddha. No. That was sectarian edict. That's not true. Shakyamuni taught in Prakrit, derived from Sanskrit, but not proper Sanskrit, because that was part of Shakyamuni's issue. Proper Sanskrit is the language of the elite. I want to teach the elite, but I also want to teach every other caste in India, from the lowest to the highest. I want to use the most ubiquitous language and create stories and understanding in that language, no matter what limitations it has, because this fundamental truth shouldn't be dependent on language. If it's truth, period, for everyone and everything. And the path to that truth is individual. We all share experience in samsara. But no matter how many or few of us there are, each one of us has a unique experience of that experience. And this is what Shakyamuni is dissecting here. Is to course as a bodhisattva, is to behave with a mind of clarity, and that leads other people to question their perception and therefore come to Buddhist practice. And if you memorize the second and 15th or 16th chapter, depending on which, or 14th, depending on which translation you go by, you memorize Gongyo, you're memorizing the teachings of Buddha, and you share them, Myoho Renge Kyo. Remember, that's like a special capsule that leads to the experience of all the teachings of Shakyamuni. Say it with me. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Without prejudice, without slant, without dissection, you are enlivening the enlightened mind. Not Bob's enlightened mind, not Andy's enlightened mind, not Makita's enlightened mind, not on and on and on. The enlightened mind. I'm reminded of a video I recently watched on E=mc², which, by the way, correctly written, as in the 3-page document that Einstein wrote, is M equals energy over speed of light squared. Because what he was extremely dissecting for science, and still they wrestle with to this day, is that mass is an assemblage of potential energy. That what we see as solid physicality, anything with mass, from a quark and a photon, well, photons don't have mass, but they do. It's just incredibly, it's an energy, a photon is an energy with kinetics, with momentum. So in that respect, it has a mass. It's just not a, what do they call it, transitional? I forget the word now. It looks like I'm skipping frames again. What do I have to do to stop that? At any rate, I'm maybe getting long in the tooth here. Everything is energy. Energy in some amalgam. Everything starts from potential energy. And then electrons, quarks, protons, neutrons, they're all masses of positive, negative, kinetic. They all have momentum. All of this is never at rest. You can't pick up this can and say there are 3,498,064 atoms in this can. You can only estimate that there are approximately that many because they're moving. It's not that the atom or the molecule of metal is moving. It's that the constituents of that molecule is roiling with actions. There's momentum, there's kinetics, and it's affected by temperature and pressure. Right? If you're a student of physics, early, beginning student, you know standard temperature and pressure, right? STP. It's fundamental because it describes or influences the movement, the kinetics of the very constituents of the atoms of everything, the electrons themselves. Everything is energy, folks. So when Shakyamuni says a bodhisattva is a physical label to a physically extant thing with characteristics. But that is not what we mean by bodhisattva. That's why he says coursing as a bodhisattva, because you're Bob walking through samsara as an apparatus to manifest bodhisattva. Your compassion, your mastery, your reciting, your sharing of this liberated path, this path to Buddhahood. That is coursing as a bodhisattva. You're a human being going through samsara, but are you coursing as that human being? Are you coursing in bodhisattva? In that state of mind? There's a tremendous amount of energy moving here. This mass of Sylvain. But that's unimportant to Buddhism. What's important is, what is this apparatus of Sylvain communicating? Through what filters of mind is it communicating? Are they filters constructed of samsara, or are they filters constructed of enlightenment? The knowledge of the teachings of enlightenment, which is the Dharma, but what we're teaching is that the Dharma, the teaching, isn't it. It's what it's pointing to that is it. This mechanism of dharmas, which she says are Buddha dharmas, are the raft crossing the river, the ocean, the whatever. It's the other shore that we're trying to reach. That idea implanted, growing. It's not in the act of teaching or sharing. It's in the instantiation of the ideas in the minds of others. That can be hard to follow in all of this word soup, right? But that's the distinction being made here. Because as you'll see later on, and we won't go through the whole thing, but as you'll see in the Diamond or the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, everything is about getting to that point of understanding that clear distinction between physical reality and mental, enlightened reality. They're together as one, but distinguishing them is, you might say, foundational to understanding the nature of enlightenment. Make sense? All right, that's enough on that. Remember, use this channel for whatever you think your needs may be. Look up words, look up ideas on this channel. There'll be videos covering it, I'm sure. And that may even give you more questions. So email me. Go to threefoldlotus.com. Look to see if there's a document talking about it there. Use this resource and make your practice invincible. Know your practice inside and out. It's not my practice, it's yours. Your Buddhahood is your path to your Buddha nature. I can only assist you with tools to help your apparatus get it. So I hope I'm doing at least that. And I admire your courage, because this is at times ridiculously easy, at other times super hard. But Buddha never leaves you. Buddha is your mind condition, and it's yours to invoke, to forget, to utilize. It's up to you. It's all you. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Keep up the fine work. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember, Thursday, I believe, is the 30th. So I'm going to probably post the full Gongyo at 10 p.m. my time, Central Time, U.S. If you have comments on that time, I'm not averse to moving it around because our Sangha is international. So if it works for more people to do it earlier in my time zone, then let me know in the comments. I want to hear you guys' opinions. In the meantime, take care of your health. Be kind to yourself as well as others. And I'll see you in the next one. Myoho Renge Kyo. Bye for now.